So there was a revelation I had while I was driving, and I know I haven't made a video in a while. There's just a lot of things happening in my life right now, a lot of trying things. Um, in this period of time in my life right now, it really is, it feels like darkness is trying to encircle me, trying to entrap me in. But just knowing that God's by my side and He's strengthening me, and no matter the hard times of darkness that I'm feeling around me, I just know that God is there, and through the struggles, it it's all good because God is strengthening me through these struggles. But more than that is just the revelation I get daily, by walking in love, seeing my fellow man for how they really are, and knowing that each person that we come in contact with, no matter their background, no matter what they're doing, may be evil, it may be good, but that person is a living, breathing person. They're a living, breathing human. Duh. But they are created in God's image, whether they know it or not, and whether we know it or not. But, you know, I was just thinking about when Jesus said to love one another as I have loved you. And I don't think that is just for the church. I think that is for both the church and the world. Jesus said that we are to be lights in this dark world. But there is so much that takes the focus off of God and onto the problems of this world. When we're focusing on the problems of this world, then we have those problems as the focus and not God. And so the flesh will then come in. And there's a lot of things that, can cause us to move to the right or to the left, away from the path God would have for us. And it's our own brokenness that can do that. There's a lot of things that the enemy uses to dissuade us from God, from our focus on God. And, it could be lust, it could be hurts, it could be pride, it could be our love of wealth and, different things like that. And no matter the background that somebody has, somebody could be a real hurt individual. It could be a woman that's real hurt and she doesn't know her worth. And so she's trying to fill that void that's in her heart that only God can fill with a man, doing things that she shouldn't do. And so her natural inclination would be to walk in a way that's perverted, in a sexual kind of way. It was an awkward moment for me. But when I was waiting for a delivery one day, this woman walks up to me, and I don't know if it was legit or she could have been an undercover cop trying to do a sting, whatever it was. She walked up to me and she asked if I would take her to the hotel. And if it's hot out, I'm not going to have somebody walk. I'll be more than glad to take them. Because I don't have any devious plan or anything. It's not who I am. So I offered to take her to the hotel, and then she asked me, "Do you want to touch my boob?" And I'm like, "No." I didn't say it like that. I said no. And then she asked me again if I wanted to do that. I said no. And she asked me why. I said, "Well, it's not respectful. That's not how a woman should be treated." And then, she asked me if I was a cop a few times. I said, "No, I'm not a cop." And then she walked away. And so, you think about it, and these people are hurt. These people are working through their woundedness. They don't know their worth. They don't know how God sees them. If they knew how God sees them, they would see their own brokenness and they would turn to God. And then He would fill them up with Him and they would be whole. And then they would look back on their life and say, "What have I done?" How could I have done such a thing? But that's the thing. We live in a broken world and people don't know their worth. There could be, people working in fraud, like Zacchaeus did. But when he met Jesus, he met everything. He met his life, and his life was changed. No matter who it could be scammers posing as somebody, as a woman, and it's the purpose of taking your money and scamming you. But, no matter how evil their intent is in stealing, they are a person, you know? And when they come to God, they would realize the wrong that they have done and their lives would be changed. People in this world are working through their hurts, they're working through selfishness, and they don't know it yet until they come to that realization that they are. And so, how should we be as Christians in this dark world? Can we be lights to these people? Could be a murderer. Well, a murderer can be changed by God's love. Look at, Saul, who became Paul. God's love changes people. You could have the most hateful, hard hearted individual, but they can be turned around through love. When we can look at our fellow man and see their worth. For example, it may be a poor example, but let's say you're a believer and you really love God, you know? But yeah, you have your own hurts, you have your own flaws, and maybe you're a guy that, has dealt with pornography in the past. Maybe you have a lust problem, but you know God's love. And so you may have this woman that doesn't know her worth and is operating through lust. And she's propositioning this guy, but he doesn't see that. What he sees is that she's broken. And he's speaking to her brokenness. He is showing God's love to her. He's not wanting that brokenness. He's not wanting to take advantage of her. He's wanting to be a light to her, for her life to change. And when she sees that kind of love, her life will change. Jesus said, "Love one another as I have loved you. So love one another." And that's what we need to do. We need to look at one another, you know, through the eyes of God, knowing that each person is priceless. And it is possible. We can love one another. Can we look past our own brokenness, our own worth issues? And with God's love, in God's eyes, we can see that person and then their lives will change. So, this is what I wanted to share with you. And I really pray that it ministers to you and that no matter what person you may see around you, they are a broken individual, but they can only be changed with God's love. So I pray this video has blessed you. Thank you for taking the time to watch.